Hello everyone, and welcome to the Trophy Guide. This show is where I guide you through my thoughts and experiences of any PlayStation game worth playing, and maybe a few that aren't. So if you're ready, let's go. Today, we are discussing, drumroll please, that's right, Metal Gear Solid 5, The Phantom Pain. I know. If you have paid attention to our channel over the last couple weeks, you will know that we have done our fair share of Metal Gear videos. That being said, this video will be a little different because we will finally be able to discuss the game from a player-based standpoint and give my complete and final thoughts of the game. There are a few things that we will be discussing about the Metal Gear Solid 5 game. First, we will discuss the overall impression of the game and how I felt it held up both on its own and as a part of the Metal Gear series altogether. Second, we will discuss the road that I took to obtain the Platinum Trophy and my suggestions on how I would go about obtaining the trophy if I had to do it all over again. And third, I will give the game my final rating based on the overall feel, mechanics, story progression, and the trophy collection of the game. First, my overall impression. Taking a look at Metal Gear Solid 5 as a standalone title is actually fairly easy to do. Yes, I did play the teaser game that came out just a few months before Metal Gear Solid 5 called Ground Zeroes, and I would highly recommend anyone just starting Metal Gear Solid 5 to begin with that game if you want to have any chance of understanding the story whatsoever. However, it has been teased that there will be a new release of Metal Gear Solid 5 that will be called the Definitive Edition, and it will include Metal Gear Ground Zeroes on the disc as well. So if you take Ground Zeroes and the Phantom Pain as a single game, I feel that you're in for a great experience. Everything is there to make for an enjoyable, pseudo-futuristic military action shooter. And the fact that Metal Gear Solid 5 was an open world allowed for the player to decide how he wanted to complete the game. You could be stealthy, using only non-lethal weapons, but still have the ability to infiltrate and secure the objectives. Or you could go in guns a-blazing, leveling everything in your sight. The choice was completely up to you. Also, the fact that you could initiate side missions and main story missions while in free roam mode made for a much more immersive experience. Such as when you have just completed a mission and you realize that there's a prisoner in the next village over needing your immediate rescue, you can call off the chopper and proceed to the village to complete that side mission. All that being said, how does this game work for the hardcore Metal Gear fans? Does this game still work within Kojima's storyline so far? To that I say yes and no. Yes, the storyline does work, though sometimes the callbacks to the other games in the franchise may seem a little heavy-handed at times, and even absurd to some point. But the game definitely fits story-wise within the Metal Gear franchise. However, it's the gameplay itself that seems to be a far stretch from the rest of the games in the series. The Metal Gear series has been heralded for its rich storyline, super long cutscenes, and dramatic reveals. However, the Phantom Pain seems to move away from this concept completely in a number of different ways. First off, all the other games in the series have been fairly linear, which allows for the creators of the game to know at exactly what points in the game they want to put the emotional moment or the game-changing reveal. However, in an open world game, you may have just spent the last 4 hours stealing supplies and capturing grizzly bears, and now you return to the main quest just to be thrust into an all-of-a-sudden battle on a grand scale with a 100-foot tall Metal Gear bent on bringing destruction to the rest of the world. Even though all the pieces were there to make for a great story, the many side quests and extra exploration continually took me out of the story, and when I returned to the story, it left me having to figure out what I had forgotten from 40 hours ago when I rescued that one guy who said something about parasites. Overall, I thoroughly enjoyed the game, although there were some things I wish they had done just a little bit different. Next, we'll talk about my progression through the trophies and my suggestions to complete the Platinum Trophy. As many of you know, I can sometimes get a little carried away on these trophy collections, just like a few months ago when I had my brother spend the night just so we could get every trophy from Call of Duty Black Ops in less than 24 hours. So in games, I generally appreciate it when you can unlock the Platinum Trophy without having to play the game multiple times. Once you complete the game, the last thing you want to do is have to grind through a second playthrough just to get trophies. Metal Gear Solid 5, thank goodness, allows you to complete the Platinum Trophy in just one playthrough, but even still it will take you over 150 hours to achieve. My suggestion for both getting the most out of the story and remaining time efficient for collecting all of the trophies would be to start off by only doing the main story and stay away from the side missions altogether, because we will come back to them later on. Because you are going to only be doing the main missions, that means that you will not be getting quite as much money, called GMP or gross military product. You won't be getting as much materials to expand your base, and you won't be getting as much popularity, known as heroism, as you would if you were to do all the side missions. So it is important to not only do the main story missions, but also replay them and obtain the S ranking and complete all the mission tasks to get the most heroism and money. This is also required in order to obtain the Platinum Trophy. So continue doing all the main story missions through mission 31. This will have you complete the entire first act and the first mission of the second act. But now is when you need to be careful. At one point in the story, you will be able to develop a nuclear weapon. Before you develop the weapon, you want to first obtain the trophy Hero, because it requires that you gain 180,000 heroism points. But once you make the nuclear weapon, you will instantly lose 50,000 heroism points. So make sure you get the trophy Hero first, then it doesn't matter how much heroism you lose. So if you have gotten the S rank on all missions, and you've gotten all the mission tasks all the way through mission 31, and you still don't have 180,000 heroism points, now is the time that you want to start completing side ops and extracting everything you see. That way you will get more heroism and more money. Once you have hit 180,000 heroism points, go ahead and continue the story until it allows you to develop a nuclear weapon. You're going to need 750,000 GMP and 75,000 fuel materials to complete the nuclear weapon. So make sure you're not spending all your GMP and fuel while upgrading your weapons or upgrading your base, or else you're going to have to grind through those later to complete the nuclear weapon. Once the nuclear weapon is under development, it will take 30 in-game hours to complete. I suggest going to Mother Base and leaving the game on overnight, and then when the development is completed, you will get the trophy Deterrence. As soon as you get the trophy Deterrence, you need to go through your Mother Base options and disarm the nuclear weapon. This will give you the counter trophy to Deterrence called Disarmament. If you do not immediately disarm the weapon in your base, you can be infiltrated by another player and they can steal your nuclear weapon, which now means that you're going to have to develop another 30-hour nuclear weapon that can then be disarmed for the Disarmament Trophy. Other than that, the game is pretty straightforward. Complete every mission, achieve every S rank on every mission, complete every task, and complete every side op and extract everything you see. And once you complete the game, you will have just a short cleanup in order to get the Platinum Trophy. The trophies are fairly straightforward as well. However, they are time consuming. It did take me 156 hours to get the Platinum Trophy, but I will say it has been my favorite Platinum Trophy so far on the PS4. Okay, so I've talked about how much I enjoy Metal Gear Solid 5, and we talked about the trophy process, but now it's time to break it down. How would I really rate this game overall? First, let's look at the story progression and overall feel. The game itself was very fleshed out with a good storyline, but far too often you would have to fight against what the game seemed to want you to do in order to progress the actual storyline. And for that, I'm going to give it only a 6 out of 10 for overall feel. Second, we will look at the mechanics. Even though there are some absurd things in this game, such as one of the most effective methods of hiding is to hide in a cardboard box, ideas such as this has become a staple for the Metal Gear franchise, and I will be looking past any of the intentionally absurd mechanics. Outside of that, the game is actually very well polished. If you're silent and you stay in the shadows, you can sneak past enemies. But if you're loud or you bump into a table inside a house, they're gonna hear it. Also, the gun game was right on point, and that makes the mechanics of this game very good, and I will give the mechanics a 9 out of 10. Third and lastly, we're going to look at the trophy collection aspect. Personally, I feel that the trophies in this game were right on point. There didn't seem to be completely absurd trophies, and there weren't too many trophies that required you to grind much more than what the gameplay had already called for. Even though it did take me over 150 hours to complete, the progression and the collection of trophies was the best I've had so far on PlayStation 4. And for that, I'm going to give it a 10 out of 10. So once I combine these scores together, I'm going to rate my entire Metal Gear Solid 5, the Phantom Pain experience, as an 8.5 out of 10. That being said, if you have not played this game, I would highly encourage you to do so. Even if you don't care about trophies, the main story is about 40 hours long, and it is a very fun and interesting story to say the least. If you disagree with my rundown of Metal Gear Solid 5, let me know in the comments below. Also, tell me what's your thoughts of the games as well. This will probably be the last video I do for Metal Gear for quite a while, but if you're new to the Metal Gear Solid 5, or if you haven't played any of the older games in the series, check out our 3-part video series explaining the in-depth and very convoluted story of Metal Gear. It covers everything from the beginning all the way through Metal Gear Solid 5, The Phantom Pain. So that does it for this episode of the Trophy Guide. Make sure to subscribe to see more videos like this in the future. Thanks again for watching, and remember, until next time, to stay awesome. When we last left Big Boss, he was secretly creating a new military nation called Outer Heaven. While creating Outer Heaven in secret, he becomes the head of his old unit, Foxhound. The Patriots find out that Outer Heaven is building a Metal Gear called TX-55 in order to take on the Patriots. So in order to make sure that they do not become a threat, the Patriots contact Foxhound to investigate Outer Heaven and destroy the Metal Gear.